Hello everyone, back tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days. For today's video, that takes us to around the 27th of February, and we'll be able to extend out beyond that with the extended GFS and ECM ensembles running to a couple of weeks. I'm going to set this feature at the end of the video for the next 4 weeks, taking us into the second half of March. And I'm going to begin with the latest flooding situation. So we've got many flood warnings in force in the wake of Storm Dennis. It's a pretty serious situation out there, as we've been seeing on the news, and I'll bring you up to date with all of the latest warnings from the Environment Agency very shortly. But we'll begin by having a look at some footage that's been shared with us on Twitter of the flood warnings. So first up, we've got James Ackrill showing flooding in his field in the River Ancole. It decided to chart a new course through one of our fields yet again. There we go. Looks pretty serious there over in Lincolnshire. And also shared on our Twitter page was this one from Savvy. This is showing hashtag Storm Dennis in Colwyn Bay, North Wales. So there we are, looking pretty flooded over there in Colwyn Bay. Yesterday it looks like they got hit very badly by Storm Dennis. Many parts of Wales were hit badly by Storm Dennis, of course. The thing with this one is I'm not sure the wind was quite as bad as Kira for most of us, but I think it was more rain that was the issue with Dennis, which is what we expected. We always looked like the winds would be a little bit reduced compared to Kira. But that there'd be more rain associated with it and a great potential for flooding, and that's exactly what's how it's worked out, I think, really, with Storm Dennis. This one from Nathan, showing River Tees has burst its banks. So again, we go in and we can see a properly flooded field there. Don't think they'll be playing any rugby on that field anytime soon. So again, pretty deep floodwaters on the River Tees. And they've got a few from Wales that have been shared with us as well by Weatherpix Wales. So we've got some demolished structure there from the floodwaters. You can see how the torrents have been flowing through the streets there, causing all sorts of damage and havoc. Pretty deep looking floodwaters in Wales. Also this one from Weatherpix Wales as well, showing a tree down. So the winds were pretty blowy though. I was saying they weren't as bad as with Kira. The trees have come down in some areas, so very strong winds were experienced yet again with Storm Dennis. That's a very choppy looking an angry looking stream. That's a flooded street as well, and submerged cars. So yeah, it looks like things have been very nasty out there. We know we've got many flood warnings in force. We'll have a look about those in a moment. We'll probably show a few more of your pics tomorrow, so if you've got any pictures of the flooding, obviously take care. Don't put yourself in danger when you're taking any pictures or footage. But if you've got any footage or pictures of the flooding, then you can email them to us at gazweathers@gmail.com. You can share them with us on our Facebook and Twitter pages, or you can post them to the comment box at gazweathers.com, and we're always happy to feature your weather pictures in videos when we get a little bit of time to be able to do that. Unfortunately, you can't post pictures on YouTube. I've never understood why the comment platform on YouTube doesn't allow pictures to be embedded, but there we go. There are various other aspects, various other accounts that you can share your pictures and footage on. So, yeah, we'll show you a few more, perhaps, in a day or so's time. Right, so very serious situation in terms of flooding in the wake of Storm Dennis. This is the Flood Warnings for England page from gov.uk. This is Flood Warning Information Service.gov.uk/warnings. I would assume the information comes directly from the Environment Agency. I'll drop the link to this into the description at YouTube, and also we linked it on the links page at gazweathers.com as well, of course, so you'll be able to have a look and see whether your local river or stream is affected. Remember, it's just for England, it's not for Wales or for Scotland or Northern Ireland. This is for England. So we've got 6 flood warnings severe flood warnings, I should say. Severe flooding and danger to life on these stretches of river. This is just updated, I think. I was looking at this a couple of minutes ago, and there was 4, I think, then. So this has gone up to. We've got River Lug at Hampton Bishop. We've got River Severn at New Street, Upton upon Severn. We've got the River Severn at Uckinghall. River Severn at Waterside, Upton upon Severn. River Wye at Blackmarstone, Hertford, or Hereford I should say, and the River Wye at Hampton Bishop. So severe flood warnings on those stretches of rivers. That means there is a danger to life. If you're in that sort of vicinity of those rivers, then take action. There's a danger to life there. As well as that, we have 208, yes, that is 208 flood warnings. Flooding is expected. Immediate action is required. So these don't have a danger to life with them, but they are telling you that flooding is expected or is occurring and you need to take immediate action. Obviously, we don't have to have time to go through all 208 of these different rivers and stretches of rivers. But again, I'm going to leave a link here to this page in the description at YouTube, and also a link to it on GalsWeathers.com. So have a look at this if you're close to a river or stream. Have a look and see whether your river or stream is affected. We have got 255 flood alerts. That is, flooding is possible, and be prepared. So again, we haven't got time to go through all of those either, but it just tells you it's a very, very serious situation at the moment in the wake of Storm Dennis. And then finally, there's 294 places where flood warnings are no longer in force. That's where there have been flood warnings, but they've been removed in the last 24 hours. It's a serious situation. We know that flooding gets worse actually in the hours after the rain event, so this may still get a little bit worse yet before it gets better, hopefully later in the week from around 12 onwards. Hopefully the flood levels will start to go down, river levels will start to go down, but it's a serious situation. If you're at all concerned about flooding, then come to this page, gov.uk, and see what's going on. You can find the link on the links page at GalsWeathers.com and also in the description at YouTube as well. Now, while we've had this very, very wet winter, it's also been a very mild winter too, so the central temperature is updated provisional now to yesterday, 16th of February, over halfway through the month now, of course, as February is a slightly shorter month. Currently sitting at 6.5, which is an anomaly of 2.7 degrees above average. That follows on from January, which came in at 6.4. That was 2.6 degrees above average. This exceptionally mild winter, I don't think it's going to break the record. It's not going to be the mildest winter on record. That will still be 1868, 1869. I think that old record is still going to stand, but certainly it's going to be within the mildest of the winters that we've had, definitely. And on it goes. This is all indicative of the fact that we've been in an Atlantic-driven pattern, which means it's regularly been windy, it's regularly been wet. We haven't drawn in the cold winds from either the Arctic or from Siberia from the east. We've just kept winds from west-southwest. Haven't had much in the way of frost. Very, very little in the way of snow. And it looks like December is going to be the coldest month of this winter. That wasn't a particularly cold month, but it had a CT in the thighs. But looks like that will be the coldest month of this winter. And January and February exceptionally mild. And it's going to go on really to the end of February, even into the beginning of March. We can see about on the 500 millibar height anomaly flowcharts from the Penn State University for the next week to 10 days. We've got the ECMWF on the top and the GFS is on the bottom. Have a look at that in a moment. So 500 millibars is an area in the atmosphere where high pressure and low pressure are being moved around by the jet stream running above. Extrapolates the high pressure blue to low pressure, and you can see that it's a very unsettled 7 to 10 day 500 millibar height anomaly with the ECM deep low pressure to our north. A ridge of high pressure is to the south, as it's been all the way through this winter. The Azores high stretched out from the Atlantic into southern Europe. A strong jet stream indicated by the black lines coming across the Atlantic into Europe. The Atlantic is still blasting away at us. Zonality is still in business, but westerlies go on. However you want to describe it, it remains the case that the pattern that we started this winter with is still going to be churning away very strongly as we come to the end of the winter. GFS is virtually identical, so again we've got the ridge from the Azores into southern parts of Europe. Deep low pressure is to our north, all of these blue colours. Strong jet stream coming across the Atlantic. We remain very Atlantic driven, very unsettled, wet, windy conditions likely to continue into the end of February and possibly even into the start of March. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks for Manchester at All Weather Central today. So the red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Manchester. A little bit of a cold snap coming through in the next couple of days. Actually, we are bringing some air back out of Greenland, so it has turned a little bit colder. But then later in the week into next weekend, temperatures lifting up, becoming very mild, maybe even a little bit spring-like over the weekend, although there will be more rain around at times. Then into the last days of February and the opening days of March, just here we can see that overall close to average with the temperatures. So we do drop a little bit, the temperatures, as you get to the very end of month, beginning of March, but only to around average. There's no sign of anything definitively cold there for any length of time, let's say. There may be a cold snap for a day or two right at the end of the month, but there's no sign of anything definitively cold. But it looks like temperatures overall are going to be a little bit up and down, as you expect, with zonality and warmer and cooler sectors alternating with one another. Of course, we do have this quite protracted mild spell setting up here from around Thursday through to the early part of next week. Precipitation-wise, just lots of precipitation spikes coming through regularly. So there's no sign of any particular deluge there. There's no sign of anything particularly alarming. That's not to say we won't get another very deep storm bringing another deluge, but at the moment there's not a great deal of sign of it. I suppose around the 25th, just there's some quite large precipitation spikes showing up, but it just looks unsettled really from beginning to end. So further showers, if not longer spells of rain, which obviously won't help the flooding situation. And we just wait to see how much rain we get really over the next week or two. But certainly staying unsettled at the very least, I think, is the message that we take from that. Temperature anomalies from the 17th to the 25th of February, a little bit above average in most parts of the country. Precipitation anomalies showing a bit of a north-south split from the 17th to the 25th. So southern parts of England actually coming out a little bit drier than average. But through northern England, Northern Ireland and Scotland, it looks wetter than average. So the wettest weather perhaps in the north, the driest weather setting up in the south in the week ahead. That's how the GFS 6 o'clock run is looking, or was looking, for Thursday. It's just updating now the GFS with the midday run. I'm quite late with today's video, so sorry about that. But this 6 o'clock run, and it was showing another band of rain moving in across the country on Thursday. Then into a very mild southwesterly push Friday through to Saturday. Look, it's very unsettled in the north. Strong to gale force winds up there, and there would be a weather front, but strung out, bringing quite persistent rain to northern parts of the country. In the south, we're close to this ridge, so that's why it's drier in the south and wetter in the north. All areas looking quite unsettled, but also very mild potentially for Sunday. And then an area of low pressure sweeps in, probably brings us all some quite heavy rain around the 24th, 25th. That may be a bit of a deluge. We'll have to wait and see. Once that gets out of the way, we're left with a colder, showery northwesterly up to day 10. Again, which is 27th of February. Again, looking unsettled and most unsettled with strongest winds and heaviest rain in the north. In the more extended range, going to the end of February and the beginning of March, we try and build in a bit of high pressure there around the 29th. That's the last day of the month, of course, but it doesn't last really. And even as we look ahead to the beginning of March, go to the 4th of March, even then, we are still in those westerlies. Just goes on and on, no sign of the Atlantic easing off the gas at the moment. This is the GM. And again, we look rather unsettled on Thursday. There'll be a band of rain pushing through the country Wednesday to Thursday. Then perhaps a bit stormy up in the north and quite wet, a little bit drier down in the south. All areas very mild though. Into the early part of next week, again, quite unsettled. That looks like it could be a significant area of low pressure that's developing there around the 24th of February. Into the 25th, that sweeps across particularly the north of the country, taking rain with it, and eventually turning wind into a colder northerly. Now, the GM does then pull off a cold snap. The low pressure goes over to Scandinavia, and we turn the wind directly to the north. Not for long, but we do get a couple of colder days there with the GM on those northerly winds. And then this is the ECMWF. Again, we look quite unsettled for Thursday with another band of rain coming across the country into next weekend, into weekend. So most unsettled in the north, driest in the south, probably not completely dry there. Strong winds to all of us, and you would have thought quite mild away from northern Scotland anyway. Into the early part of next week, this is a very significant area of low pressure that the ECM is developing around the 24th, 25th. If that comes off, that's perhaps our next named storm. Have to wait and see. But that looks quite significant. 24th to 25th of February. Very wet and windy across much of the country. That clears out of the way for day 10, but which is 27th of February. But we're still in these westerly winds, and fundamentally the pattern goes on. Low pressure remains to the north and the west. High pressure remains to the south and the southwest. Still no change at the end of this winter to the pattern that we started off with. This is the precipitation forecast based on that ECM run from Tameteo.com. A few wintry showers in the north and west today. Into tomorrow, maybe more persistent band of showers coming across England and Wales. They could be quite heavy. Further north, wintry showers continue for northern and western parts of Scotland. Into Wednesday, we start off dry, but cloud and rain heads in from off the Atlantic, particularly affecting northern and western parts of the country on Wednesday. And then Thursday takes that band of rain south and east across the country, and we eventually finish up going back into those very mild southwesterlies. This is the end of next week. Friday, drawing in a mild southwesterly. Lots of heavy rain in the northwest. Could be a little bit of hail snow. Mainly rain, though, for Scotland and Northern Ireland. Fairly dry for much of England and Wales. Into the weekend suggests a bit of an all-south split, really most unsettled in the north and west. Dry-ish, not completely dry, but dry-ish in the south and southeast next weekend. And then we move on to the early part of next week. Another very significant area of low pressure we've already established, possible sometime around the 24th or 25th. Suggesting quite a bit of snow coming in with that one, interestingly. So not only gale force winds and heavy rain, that's also going for quite a bit of snow across many parts of the country. Not sure about that. I think the ECM does tend to overplay snow potential a little bit, but we shall see. Possible we might get a bit of a snow event early next week with these intense areas of low pressure. That gets out of the way. We're left with a cold, showery northwesterly wind, and then by day 10, you've guessed it, more rain is heading into the north and the west of the country. It looks very, very changeable right out to the end of February, really. This is the option that's on the table within the ECM ensembles today for day 10, which gets us to the 27th of February. It's only one option, 51 out of 51 members of the ECM ensembles going for this, with low pressure sitting very close to the country, high pressure away towards sort of the far Canadian side of the Atlantic, and bringing a strong west to northwesterly wind. So unsettled and cool, really, as we come to the end of February there. And in 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. This is the 3rd of March. We have 26 members of the ECM ensembles, lots of low pressure out to the northwest, some higher pressure down to the southwest, and 25 with low pressure to the north, high pressure to the south, reverting to perhaps a milder west-southwesterly as we go into the opening days of March. Finally, the CFSB2. These are 500 millibar heights broken down into weekly periods. The first week period takes us from the 17th to the 23rd of February. The coming week is Atlantic driven and unsettled with westerlies, low pressure driving in off the Atlantic, high pressure to the south, low pressure to the north. No change on the pattern that we've had all winter. Week 2 is the 24th of February to the 1st of March. Again, low pressure to our north and northeast, high pressure down to our south, southwest. Still Atlantic driven. The difference with that is possibly that it's a bit cooler. Winds could be coming in from the northwest there, coming out of Greenland. So that might suggest, perhaps not enough for a cold snap, but it might suggest a cooler interlude for the closing days of February. Week 3 then changes the position of the ridge. So we find high pressure sitting over and just to the south of the country. This is the 2nd to the 8th of March. That does suggest a rather drier opening to March, I think, and probably very mild as well, with winds coming up from the southwest. Maybe a taste of spring in the air. And then week 4, finally, is the 9th to the 15th of March. High pressure then is across many central and southern parts of Europe. Low pressure out to the northwest. If anything, it looks like it's probably turning more unsettled again. Probably starting to bring low pressure back in from off the Atlantic. That's the 9th to the 15th of March. That's to the middle of March. And fundamentally, that is still a continuation of the pattern that we had like at the beginning of December, and probably even before that, going back into October or November. This is a remarkably persistent pattern. It's very unusual to see such a continuously persistent repeating pattern like this over so many months. Eventually there will be a change. Eventually this will change, and we'll go into a different pattern, hopefully a drier one. But for the moment, there's no sign of an end, really, to this pattern that we've been in since the beginning of the winter, and probably even since the autumn. We're going into the beginning of meteorological spring, but for now, the westerlies just go on and on and on. And with it, so does the wind and the rain. Right, we'll be back tomorrow with another Week 10 Day video update. I've got the ECMDF 30-day look ahead tomorrow as well, so come back for that then. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.